Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to WhatsMap, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very welcome. Right, it's Tuesday, Tuesday's request day. Today's map is the longest waiting creator request map on the list, and I am going to claim just a little bit, just an iota of credit for it. Even though I have absolutely no rights to claim credit for this whatsoever, I'm going to do it anyway. I'll tell you why. Before Bonbon Island, how many maps did we see that were based on the Coos Bay theme? The answer is not many at all. Since Bonbon Island, quite a few. Now, I don't know if I'm being inspirational to first-time creators.
It's my first map.
That's right. But maybe I am. Maybe I am. But yes, it's a very nice theme and we're seeing it being used today. Now, if I am inspiring to you, first of all, my word of advice is go and get some proper friends. But if I do happen to inspire you, perhaps now's the time to be inspired to do something totally proactive and inspirational. That's right, being inspirational is a really good way of supporting the channel, getting me seen by more people and help me grow a little bit more every single day. Thank you for your support. Today's map is Mandos Bay River Valley by Jav-aniceday. Oh, I see what you did there. I like that. Jav, or is it is it Spanish Jav? Have a nice day. Could be. There's your start. Okay, I'm sticking with Jav. There's your start square. Start square looks really very nice indeed. Big fan of that. Terrain heights are pretty flat across the middle of the map, which is where you want them to be, and an interesting shape, sort of. Yep. We have strong resources if you want a farming and forestry map. Boom, you are up and running. Very nice indeed. And Sunset Harbour, if you have it, we have an interesting-ish fishing map as well. I say ish, it's perfectly adequate. Very happy with that. Off to the workshop, what do we need? Well, it's a mass transit map. You will need mass transit for this one. There isn't a one-click collection, and there's a moderate length of things to subscribe to, including network extensions too. But again, this was made pretty much before all the warning signs went up. There is a theme mix. The theme mix is based on Coos Bay theme. We got the realistic 1.4.5 Springwood, but also if you have a look down here, Rye Bluffs, but I haven't got it ticked. Now, why would that be? Well, if you click across, it's actually the map, not the theme. So if you can just switch that one up at Jav-aniceday, that would be pretty cool. There's your, I am actually already subscribed to the Rye Bluffs map theme, so it will show up for me. But I have to assume, just for the sake of being consistent and accurate across seasons and seasons and seasons, whence giving the overall aesthetic score for this one, I have to assume that you don't have the Rye Bluffs map theme, because it's not actually listed or linked. One little thing just to talk about very briefly, we're not going to really mention it too often, is if you have a look along the edge here, we've got some sort of like hedge alluded to. Patches of these small bushes along the edges of the national. It's a national road, yeah. Right. So we're seeing these. These don't do anything for me. I don't know what they were trying to achieve. Maybe it was I'm trying to achieve a hedge along the side of the road. Whatever it was they were trying to achieve hasn't worked. There's a fence there as well. But saying that, it doesn't detract from the map in any way. So it doesn't really add anything, but it hasn't, it's not one of those things that they've gone, oh, I'm going to put a wall across here, and then Bonbon looks at it and goes, why did you do that? It's subtle enough that actually you could probably ignore it. And yes, that's if you're not liking it. And of course, removing it is very straightforward as well, if it does annoy you that much. But it is using up a little bit of tree count, so there is that to consider as well. Of course, the sprites today, the grass sprites are in because we're using Theme Mixer, and in Theme Mixer, sprites on and off is actually part of the settings. So I have to assume with the sprites today that these have been opted into. Normally, using Hide It, I will switch them off because I don't like them. But there are times when maps actually look a lot better for them. So there is that. Power lines. Oh, and also have a little look. They've got some wildlife along the edge of the road here. You're going to see a lot of wildlife today. We should actually be keeping a check. So that was 2. We might have missed a couple already. 1 on the right here makes 3. 1 on the left over there makes 4. Another little one there's 5. Do you see all of them? You're catching these. I'll leave you to count them. There's a 6. There's a 6 there. I'll leave you to count them. There are a multitude of, I mean, way more than I've seen on a map for a long time. And I'm okay with animal spawns. It adds just a little bit of life and interest. And I guess it's one of those that you don't really want to have wild boar walking through the middle of your city. So I would say spawn points, yes, but have them in the wildlife areas, not in the middle of the build zones, you know? Just because some people just don't know how to deal with them. Anyway, there's your start square. Start square intersection. That's a elongated parclo. Is that what we would call that? Maybe. It's a fairly nice looking thing. And then we can head on. Again, intersection marking tool is in operation. If you don't have that and no controller, it doesn't matter. It just means that they're not going to look so pretty. Speaking of pretty, nice pretty bridge there going across what is a very pretty river. And of course, kind of expecting it to be, given the I mean, look, the sandy riverbanks or whatever. It's Coos Bay theme, Cristo Listo. Wow, just wow. I mean, they have made other themes as well, but that was the one that really popped for me. And what I really like about that is the texture size on Cristo Listo is quite large, so you don't get those repeating patterns that you quite often see. Unless you pull right back. I mean, from the satellite view, you can see the repeating patterns, but there's more wildlife there. You see, you're keeping count of this wildlife. It's a bit like we're on safari, isn't it? But yeah, the Cristo Listo, they're just larger texture blocks, and it means that it just feels like there's more when you're actually painting out your beaches and stuff like that. You feel that you've got these patterns and shapes that you can actually work with and actually help them. Because the thing is, you might have an idea for your shoreline. You go, I'm going to go with a shoreline that looks like a long arc or whatever. But even on a long arc shoreline, on the macro, when you actually get down there, there are going to be little niggly bits and little bumps, and that's where I feel that Coos Bay really comes in, because you can actually, where you didn't actually have any plans, end up being forced, if you're actually working with the theme, with the texture, being forced to change the shape of things just a little bit to work with the texture. It might not be what you had in mind, but what you end up with is just something a little bit more alive and more believable. Big fan. Big fan. Next intersection here, this is the final one we're going to see. It actually splits things up a little bit. We can head off towards the edge of the map this way, or the other way, or we can do a full turn and go all the way across the map the other way. No, we want to move on. Have a look here. We can still see just like these thin lines where there are fences or something. They're set quite a long way back from the roads. I think they've gone now. And they're set quite a long way back from the road as well. So I don't know what the intention and the plan was with them, but they really just don't work for me. But again, like I say, they're so subtle that you can barely wildlife. You can barely make them out. Oh, and a blinking steam train. Why is the steam train? I'm genuinely confused. I'm absolutely certain I have unsubscribed to the steam trains, and they just keep coming back. Maybe it's one of those ghost trains that you know who Anapu had flying through. It was hell, and I don't mean hell as an insult. I mean hell as in the map, where we had. What amazing! What 2021 was. What an amazing year for maps, wasn't it? I'm hoping 22 is gonna be as strong. Haven't had any maps so far this year that have absolutely shone above all the others, but there have been. I mean, there have been seal of approvals dotted around. You know, if you keep your eye open, you'll see seal of approvals being dotted about. just haven't had that one yet this year, which is going to say, now I'm in pole position for map of the year. Well, we did have that one, the very first one of the season, didn't we? But that was because it was the very first map. It was in pole position, not because it was exceptional. It wouldn't have mattered whether it's exceptional or not. It was going to be in pole position anyway. It could have been the worst map in the world, and it still would have been in pole position for map of the year, as it was the only one. Now, this particular map, I mean, I haven't spoken too much about it so far because I don't think there's been that much to talk about, really. It feels pleasing. We have landscapes that are very easy to build on. Are they inspiring to build on is the next... Wildlife. Are they inspiring to build on is the next question. I mean, they're easy. In some ways, I feel that this map reminds me a little bit of... I've not played Transport Fever 2. I have it, but I have not played it. I've not had time to. But Transport Fever 1, the original, this landscape kind of reminds me a little bit of that. Just a wee bit. With the shapes of the hills, the shapes of the forests, the shape of the river. It kind of feels like a Transport Fever map. And, I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's not bad. It's not necessarily massively exciting. The thing with Transport Fever, obviously, wildlife. more completely different sort of game from wildlife from Cities Skylines. Whereas the cities grow themselves with your help. Whereas, of course, with Cities Skylines, you are dictating everything, really. Anyway, right. Well, we're heading up towards the edge of the map with wildlife. Wildlife. I told you Safari wildlife. I lost count ages ago. Hopefully, yeah, you've just in the comments tell me how many you found. Go on, you know that's the only reason why you're here today on the wildlife count, aren't you? I'll be back after a very brief intermission, at which point we'll check the shipping, the water flow, and any features of interest. We'll go with that, shall we?
Who is the mysterious modder? Perhaps the greatest modder of them all. Why the heck are they named after a flightless bird? Find out more when BonBonB met Bloody Penguin and Skylines talk now.
And back to Mandos Bay, River Valley by Jav-aniceday, and we have shipping routes. Not big, not exciting, do the job, basically. Shipping triangle here, big shipping triangle, works neatly, heads up to the shoreline over there, and then another one that goes off on the angle over here. That'll do absolutely fine. I have no grumbles with that. Water flow, again, works very nicely. We've got a working river system, which is wide enough, deep enough, and strong enough to allow for the pump and draw game if that is what you are looking for. So I say that is a bit of a winner as well. So water flow, tick. Pull the camera back and switch over. So the map as a whole, I'd say it has that feel of Transport Fever to me, just a little bit. Not so much the river delta, but everywhere else. But over here, the way that the trees, I mean, the tree painting, it's perfectly fine. Is it next level? It's not next level, but it's still good level. So I'm very happy with these. They are worked into the hills just to give definition to the hills. Hills would otherwise be possibly just a little bit nondescript and very hard to make out what's going on. Then we have a big buildable space over here, which has not much going on. Once you get over the river here, not much to inspire you in the shape of the map. So big space, lots of opportunity, nothing to make you think about how you should do things. A little bit of glitching here, by the way, just a little bit. I'm sure you saw that on the original flyover, but I thought I'd go back and show you that at a later point. We have power station, we have solar, and of course we have wind. Now, where you have wind, you need wind. I wonder if we've managed to hit the windy area. Shall we check? Go on then. We don't often do this, but I think this is an opportunity. Hopefully we'll have a windy area. Oh, well, that's both a hit and a miss in equal scores, really, isn't it? You would have thought that would be all strong wind area, but it's middle wind area. So I mean, it's not a fail. It's just not quite a maximum hit. Speaking of power, we have power lines running across here, and this power substation transferring it across. I think now this is just me, and maybe it's not technically correct, but I think I would have done a little bit with this power substation, and maybe moved it across and made it a part of this power line. There we are. You can see it is connected up via the by the small power lines, but I think I would have. I mean, yeah, I've moved the road as well, but something like this, maybe. How does that look? Does that look like a believable thing? I mean, I would have given it more thought, possibly, but that I think is how I would have got. I'm not sure what we've got here, whether I'm excited by it. Ooh, it's a castle. It's a castle. It's fine. There's nought to talk about with that whatsoever. It's there. It's a nice little feature, and I'm glad it's there, I guess. This estuary, there's not much to talk about in terms of detailing until there's something to talk about in terms of detailing, and that is this. And I'm struggling to be excited by this either. I mean, again, you can't fault it, but I'm just not really. There doesn't seem to be a transition between that and another kind of biome. It just kind of just happens. I don't know. But I do know about this. I'm loving the shape of the cliffs along here. If we have a look at first glance here, there'll be a second glance in a moment. But the cliffs over here feel very south of England to me, and I am a south of England boy. Old White Cliffs of Dover and Dorset and all those sort of things. Liking the shape of this, okay? Have a look how the cliff was eroded away, and we have this flat area around the bottom of the cliff there where it's eroded away. We've got something similar going on here, but obviously with water. But if you have a look under the water there, it is just drops away. I'd like to have seen that maybe as part of a level area, just sort of like extending out a little bit into the sea. I'm not completely buying that. I'm also not sure why we have a little bit of dirt track all the way over here on its own. It was originally part of something, no doubt, but it's an artifact of something that's just disappeared now. As we pull the camera back, and we do have a start square. Before we talk about the start square, I just want to talk about the overall shape of the map. I think it could be a lot more interesting. This river system feels a little bit, I mean, it's fine, feels a little bit simple. I'd like to have seen maybe here have this open up as like a large harbour area in the middle of the map, and maybe slightly more Dutch inspired. Might have made this a little bit more interesting, because the only interesting water feature we've got is this one, which is perfectly fine, but feels a bit lost all the way over here, all on its own. So yeah, I think middle of the map, a little bit flatter, with like a Dutch-inspired style harbour or water area in the middle to play with. Meanwhile, in the middle, we have one of these. Asset of the day. This is the GHQ Grand Theatre by XDBX, and it's the shape of a seashell as far as I'm concerned, and it's beautiful. XDBX, great creator, and wow, just wow, just wow. Marvel at this while I give you factoids, because factoids, given the map is Mandos, here's one about Mando, or Manu. Is one of the Danish Wadden Sea Islands off of the southwest coast of Jutland, Denmark, in the Wadden Sea, part of the North Sea. The island covers an area of about 7.63 square kilometres, 2.95 square miles, and had 40 inhabitants in January 2018. Manu is barely accessible at high tide over an unpaved surface level causeway of about 4 kilometres in length that connects the island to the mainland, and extensive mudflats and tidal marshes encircle the island, provide breeding areas. In past centuries, a large earthen dike was constructed around the perimeter of the island, allowing for farming of grain and sheep grazing. So Manu, M-A-N-D-O with the / written through it. Danish, love Danish. GHQ Grand Theatre by XDBX. Fantabulous asset of the day. absolutely fantabulous. Anyway, speaking of fantabulous, how are you feeling today? You feeling fantabulous enough to vote? I'll go on then. Is this a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Hit the I button now in the top right hand corner of your screen, or the link in the description. It'll take you to the voting page where you can vote for free with a Facebook, Gmail, Apple, or a Patreon account. But what do I think of today's map? Well, aesthetically, we have to remember that the Rye Bluffs theme, whatever part of the theme mix it took, is technically missing. I think overall the map is fine. It's fine. It looks good, but I don't think it looks as good as it could. I think there's more that could be done to make this really smile. And with the missing part of the theme mix, I'm going to go high 3. It feels like a 4-star map, but I have to bring it down to high 3. Detailing, I'm liking the shapes of the forests. It does have that Transport Fever vibe to it, but I don't feel that it's quite next level enough yet. But we're getting there. Again, it feels like a high 3-star map, so that's still a good score. Gameplay potential, I'm going to go for a medium-low 4. It feels very playable. It doesn't feel very inspiring. It just, the middle of the map just feels a bit of a canvas, you know? Mandos Bay River Valley by Jav-aniceday. Yeah, just that middle of the map, there's nothing to stop you from building anything you want in that area. I just want something that makes me think, what should I build here, rather than I'm just going to build here. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense at all? Possibly not. Anyway, all told, very good for a first map. Suits you, sir. Going back to the 90s there. Anyway, thank you for watching, for commenting, for liking, and for subscribing. If you're still here, you're part of the 20 and out elite. Use the word of the day in the comments. Score yourself some population points just for fun. And I'll be back tomorrow with another map in the What Map series. Thanks for watching.